first one was a woman. Her name was Frau Troffea. She began to dance in the middle of a dusty street in July 1518. But it wasn't a dance of celebration. Her movements were convulsive, a grotesque twitching. It was as if something was controlling her body, forcing her to move against her will. The locals watched in stunned silence, their confusion slowly morphing into dread. They saw the terror in her eyes, a silent plea for help, trapped within a body that refused to listen. Then, one by one, others began to join her. A baker, his hands still dusted with flour, his body now twisting in a horrifying imitation. A young boy, his limbs flailing like a marionette with tangled strings. The silence was broken only by the rhythmic scuffing of their feet against the cobblestones. The sound was hypnotic, a sinister beat that drew more and more into its terrifying rhythm. Days turned into nights. The dancers did not stop. Their faces grew gaunt, their eyes hollowed out from exhaustion. Their clothes were torn, their feet bloody. Still, the dance continued. Doctors, priests, and scholars watched, helpless. They tried everything. Prayers, medicine, even music, but nothing worked. The dance was a parasite, feeding on their life force. The horror was not just in their relentless movement, but in the growing understanding that they were not alone. The dancers were just a fraction of the afflicted. The plague began to spread, not just in the streets, but in the homes. People would be sitting at dinner, laughing, when suddenly their bodies would begin to twitch. Their eyes would go blank, and they would rise from their seats to join the endless, agonizing dance. One night, a father watched as his daughter, pale and exhausted, began to twitch. He tried to hold her, to keep her still, but her strength was immense. He could hear the faint, rhythmic shuffling of feet outside, a sound that seemed to be beckoning her. The last thing he saw was his daughter's face, her eyes filled with a terror that transcended the physical. She was not just dancing, she was being danced, and then he felt it too. The first twitch in his own leg, a tremor that promised to consume him entirely. The dance is not over. It never was. The rhythm is just waiting silently in your own bones. And sooner or later, it will be your turn to join. As the days went on, the dancers began to die, one by one. Their bodies, pushed beyond all human limits, simply gave out. They collapsed on the dusty streets, their chests heaving one last time before falling still. The dancing plague was not just a strange sickness. It was a mass possession. It was as if some unseen force had taken control of their bodies, forcing them into a final, deadly performance. When the first dancer fell, the terror grew even more. Others would fall, their limbs still twitching faintly before they were completely gone. The horror was not just in the dance itself, but in watching these people die from a force they could not fight. A force that had taken them over completely.